A boat trip with some friends on a beautiful lake. That sounds very lovely. Hello everyone, I'm Jay Mere and welcome to my new review for the underrated movie of the month. And for this underrated movie of the month, April 2024, I have chosen for a movie from 2004 directed by Jacob Aaron Estes, and that movie is Mean Creek. And I really believe that this is an underrated movie. Because, to be honest, I actually never heard of this movie before. Maybe I saw the title somewhere popping up, but I never realized what kind of movie it was, or never seen any trailers or pictures from the movie. So for me, it was really a movie that completely came out of the blue. And it is actually a first watch for me. I just saw it and I thought, why not give this one a shot? I don't know what it is about. It just looks like it can be a good drama movie. And I was actually very surprised by this. I saw the film, and when the end credits were rolling, I was speechless. I saw the entire end credits, just laying on my couch, speechless. This movie had a very impact on me. It was just a very beautiful and very good movie. And then I was doing some research. I was looking up from what are the scores. Is this in any top 10 list of the movie year 2004? Are people talking about it? And surprisingly, I did not find that much on the movie Mean Creek. There were some other reviews, but did not really pop up in top 10 lists of 2004, so it stayed under the water, and this movie should have more attention for how good this movie is. So what is the movie about? Mean Creek is taking place in a town in the state of Oregon, very beautiful nature state, and we are focusing on these young people, especially on Sam, who is a young kid at school. I think he's one of the first year of secondary school, I believe. And he gets bullied. There is this other kid, George, and George is always picking on him. He is beating him up, saying nasty things to him. He is really a bully to Sam. And Sam goes to his older brother, Rocky, and Rocky wants to help his little brother. So Rocky and his friends, they come up with this plan to take back on to take revenge on the bully George. And what they basically are doing is they invite George for the supposed birthday of Sam, and they're gonna take a boat trip. And on that boat trip, they are gonna prank him and leave him behind in the nature. That's what they're gonna do, that's their revenge, and so they're gonna take a boat trip. But something in this movie, halfway through, something important happens. A game changer in this movie, something I did not saw coming, and when it happened, it changes my whole perspective on the movie, and from that point the movie became really good, really great, a phenomenal drama movie, a phenomenal coming of age movie, because that is what this movie is. I'm not gonna tell you specifically what's gonna happen, but the second half of this video is gonna be me talking about it in detail. So from then on there will be spoilers, but I will give you a warning when the spoilers will be there. So in the main roles in this movie we have Rory Culkin. We also know him as the kid from Signs. He also was in Scream 4. We also have Trevor Morgan, who plays Rocky, and the bully is played by Josh Beck. And that's the first thing I want to say about this movie. These young actors, these child actors, they did a phenomenal acting job. Because at a certain point in this movie, I was not really aware that I was watching a film. It was like I was watching real young people on a boat trip dealing with what's going to happen in the movie. The acting was very sublime, it was really believable, and these characters, they are with five boys, one girl, and they all have their own personality, characteristics, backgrounds, and you really feel for them. You during this boat trip you are getting to know these characters, and that's very important for the second half of this movie. So the acting is fantastic. Like I said, the story is also very beautiful. The first half is a bit slow. It's all about what's going on, the situation of the bully, the boat trip, getting ready for the boat trip. And then we have the boat trip. It's just normal stuff that happens during a boat trip. So the first half takes its time. Then something changes the whole direction of the movie, and then you really get immersed in the story. And that's what this movie really does well. It immerses its audience into the story and to feel with these characters. And also, Oregon has beautiful nature. We are taking this boat trip. We're seeing beautiful landscapes. So it's a beautiful movie to watch. The only problem I have with this movie, it's just a little issue. It's the first half I had a lot of shaky cam, handheld camera following the characters. Was a bit annoying for me, but as soon as we are on the boat, it was not annoying anymore. It was like normal, and I feel like the camera work contributes to the story, to really have that the feeling of being there in the story with these characters. So I think Jacob Aaron Estes made a fantastic debut as a director. The actors all did fantastic work. It's a beautiful story, and I really love this movie. And like I said, the movie had an impact on me. It left me speechless. So let's talk about why this movie made me speechless. So in the second part of this video, I want to talk more in depth about the story. Because something really important, something major happens in the middle of this movie. Like I said, the story is about taking revenge on the bully. The bully is George, wonderfully played by Charles Peck. And at a certain point, things escalate on the boat. And they want to do the prank already on George, on the bully. So what basically happens in the movie is that they dare George to take off all his clothes, jump in the water, and then they go away with the boat. But George doesn't want to do that, and there is a fight, there is a little argue. They all are all the five characters that wants to take revenge, except the girl. The girl was never a favor of the revenge plan. They basically push George in the water. But at that point, George is in panic and he is drowning. They are trying to save him, but that didn't matter. George is dead. The prank goes horribly wrong. And I, as an audience member, didn't saw this coming, because everything before that was actually a very romanticized story about a kid that is bullied and its bully slowly getting to know each other and maybe becoming friends. I really thought that this was that kind of story about these two people getting, becoming friends. And when this happens, when George dies, that's not the case anymore. And from then on, the remaining characters are all basically in a trauma, and they have to decide what we have to do now. And that's very interesting. From then on, we see these young people who are still learning about life and getting to be socially in life. they have to deal with these consequences, and they all have other ideas on how to deal with it, and that's what makes this movie beautiful. As soon as that happens, which I think is a very sad thing to happen, I was completely into the story. I was, wow, what just happened? What are they going to do now? And it was very fascinating to see these young people dealing with this situation. And I want to talk about the character of the bully a bit more. George is another kind of bully. He is alone, he's not in a group, and he does not seem really psychotic. He's just always very angry, and his solution to the things is always beating other people, which is very wrong. You should not do that. You should not beat up other people. But that's the kind of bully George is portrayed, how George is portrayed in this movie. And yeah, we see him beating up Sam very early in the movie, and we want, like Sam, revenge on this bully because that's wrong to do. And as soon as the whole plan is in motion, we see a bit more of George. And the movie let us show that George is basically alright. He has his issues, those issues make him a bully, but he's actually just a kid that is alone in this world. He has no friends, he is a single kid, he just lives with his mom, and he has another way of dealing, and his personality, his characterizations does not always match with his social environment with other people. And that's what this movie shows us, how George is. And as soon as we are on the boat, we also see how George is interacting with all the people, and we see a connection between Sam and George, with also with the girl, the girlfriend of Sam, and you can really see these can actually be friends if they just talk about the issues they have with each other, and that's so phenomenal. And when you realize they might be friends, they still do their little revenge because there was an argue and George is dead. So what could have been a happy story didn't happen. And this movie also shows us, without us realizing it, what's going to happen. Because this movie also has a nice concept that we call show don't tell. That is very important in films. And show don't tell is that you don't tell your audience, you show the audience, and the audience is smart enough to figure the things out for themselves. You don't have to tell them always in dialogue. And I think this movie has a very beautiful show don't tell. Because when the characters arrive at the boat, George is immediately in shock that there are no life jackets. He even said, what kind of loser don't bring life jackets to a boat trip? And he thinks that's irresponsible. He can't believe that this happened. And while watching the scene, I thought, yeah, this is just something that it's just something for George that he can be angry about, no big deal. During the boat trip, we also see that he is not really paddling. We think, yeah, he's George, he doesn't want to paddle, because he's the bully. Why should he paddle? He let others do the work for him. And then they dare him to jump into the water while they are playing Truth or Dare. And George immediately says, I didn't choose for Dare, I choose Truth, because he knows that Dare is going into the water. But why are all these things important? For one thing, as soon as they push George into the water, we see George can't swim. And that's why, because George can't swim, this leads to our dramatic events in the second half. And I thought that was really beautiful. They were already giving us this information, but we did not realize it. That was very cool that they did that in this movie. And the last thing I want to talk about is that this movie has an important object. Usually, stories are carried with the characters, what the characters do and what they say. But in this movie, there is an object that is equally important as a character basically, and that is the camera. A video camera. George has a video camera. He films stuff on the boat trip. As soon in the beginning of the movie we already see that he is filming himself. He is talking to the camera basically like I am doing right now, and we as an audience, we don't think much on that until the very end, because we know George is dead, the police comes at the end, and they find the camera. That was also one of the issues the characters has to deal with. They couldn't find the camera. On the camera there was all the evidence on the prank gone wrong, and then the police finds him. And in the very end scene, we see the police starting the camera to watch what has happened. And I thought we were going to see all the footage again, but no, they showed us something different. The last thing we see in this movie is George taking the word, and George is basically telling that he knows that he is not always nice to people, but that he can't do anything about it. It's just in his head. He's a very special person, and he knows that he does not want to be in his own head, and that's a very beautiful scene to end this movie with. It leaves more impact on the story, and that is why I love Mean Creek, and I do hope that more people are going to see this movie, maybe talk about this movie, because it deserves so. So this was my review on the movie Mean Creek. I hope you liked my review. Always be free to share your thoughts on this movie below in the comments. If you want to see more reviews on me in the future, always be free to subscribe to my channel, and till the next time.